quite an interesting story how Lamborghini got going. The old man Lamborghini bought a Ferrari from a Ferrari factory, and after a little while he sent it back. And he says, "This is rubbish." And old man Ferrari, big argument. He said, no. Anyway, he decided he can build a car better than the Ferrari can, And yeah, I think it was 2-3 years later, he produced his own car. And Ferrari was horrified. One of the earlier ones was the 350 GT. And then a few years later, young team got together and they designed the Miura. And they presented the old man Lamborghini with a shape. And he was says, look at that. It was like totally radical. And he said to them, yeah, do it, build it. And then it turned out to be the fastest car in the world. And Ferraris they were mortified. And it wasn't long afterward they brought out the Daytona, which was reputedly 1 mile an hour faster. Now, Italian optimism on the Speedo, 1 mile an hour is pretty accurate. On those roads, you can imagine how they could ever do 275 anyway, but they claimed it was a mile an hour faster. But yeah, so that's a nice story, how Lamborghini got going. The name is Peter, and these are two of my prized possessions behind me. Well, here we go. I just came out the corner in third. I was at about 80. Look at that. I'm still accelerating all the way up. It will easily go to 7,000 revs. Look at this, I'm still in third. There we go, I'm at 160 without even trying. Imagine, the little bobbling of the exhaust you might hear, typical with the Weavers. Or actually, in fact, they're not Weavers, they're actually IDA carburetors, specially made for a Lamborghini. The brakes are, quite frankly, diabolical. They were. Braking wasn't really important in cars in the 60s and 70s. Even though they were one of the very first cars with vented discs. And it's thoroughbred. It's just that thing. They had to go out there and had to be better and quicker than a Ferrari, which was a huge task. And yeah, at 98, 99, I was looking for something classic. And I say the blue one was at Lamborghini Johannesburg. It sat there and I went past, wandered in and I showed a bit of interest, and a month later I managed to buy it. So it was sort of the era, they were very good cars, but they weren't sort of famous. And I liked it. I liked the whole package. And I'm really scared of it driving it home. A V12, I've never driven anything like that, aluminium car, going down near William Nicol in the afternoon traffic. I thought, gosh, I was like a nervous wreck. But yeah. And then a year later, I thought, oh, this is not a bad thing. It's a really enjoyable car. And I came across another one in pieces. I was happened to be at another motoring event, and the guy said to me, oh, Peter, you've got a blue one. He's got another one in pieces. I said, I actually didn't believe it. He says, oh, he's got one. So another few months later, I drifted past his place, and lo and behold, the thing was in pieces. He said to me, no, 3 weeks, we assemble this thing and get it running. I said, yeah. Anyway, a little while later, I bought it in pieces, like 3 bucky loads. And it took me 17 years to get it here. The interesting thing is they're both identical cars, supposedly made within a year of each other, but they're totally unique. So the blue one is as it is. They did do the engine a few years ago, good few years ago, but it starts, it runs, but it's unrestored, and it's got that lovely English word patina. The leather, you see the leather's like it was and all the rest of it. So the orange one has now been fully restored, nut and bolt, stain, the works you could do. But they're both different. And it is like, and there's a lot to be said for an unrestored car. And on the show floor, concourse people want restored cars. So it's quite unique having two identical, and they've got both different characters. The one starts first time, and the other one usually got to pump about 3 or 4 times to get the fuel through. So it's the one second gear is notchy, the other isn't. So you think, well, but they are like that. So initially they came out with the 400, just called Miura 400, and they built also a few hundred of them. Well, actually not that many, but they realized there was some serious design shortcomings. The brakes were terrible. The metal was actually too thin. And so it was I think 3-4 years later they came and then they started building the Miura S. So they upped the power a bit, they put vented brakes. You could have an option of aircon, suspension changes and all the rest of it. The body was a little bit stronger. And just a better car all round. And then at the end of the production run, they came out with the SV. The last of the 140 cars, they had a little bit more power, wider wheels at the back, but not a hell of a lot of difference to this. That sound, magnificent. And there we go. Yeah, how can you beat that? So that sums it all up. Crazy car. Fantastic. I'm so privileged to be able to own them. And yeah, that's it. It's a piece of history. Yeah, the orange one has got a fantastic history. The first owner, of having driven it for about 30,000 Ks, had a mistress. His wife caught him with his mistress, and she didn't say anything. They lived out near Hartbeespoort Dam, and she said nothing. Went along to the local builder supply and ordered 6,000 bricks, and the car was parked in the driveway. You know, they were busy in the house. They delivered 6,000 bricks like straight away. And the guy reversed the truck up to it, and she said, tip. She said, oh man, we can't do this. And he tipped. Luckily, he moved a little bit forward, but still the good part of 2,000 bricks solid, flattened the front of the car. And on the Pretoria News, the headlines the next day was, wife gets her revenge. There's a picture of this car, chick with a few thousand bricks piled on it. And you can imagine Miura's always been a supercar. So this is the most expensive car you can get. He says, yeah, wife, yeah, got her revenge.
Do you like clothes? I do. This is available right now on our Sentimental shop. Just go to Cars.co.za /shop or look for the description in the link below. See what I did there? Just trying to catch you out. And we've got tons of exclusive merchandise which is designed and made exclusively for our store. I said exclusive twice because it's very exclusive. Also hats.